Right, welcome to this week's Tech Show, where we've got, well, lots of tech from Sea Otter, funnily enough.
Owen, we're by the fireplace. You didn't light it for us, though.
Well, it's been pretty warm.
That's been your first ever Sea Otter. What did you think?
A mind-blowing experience.
It's good, isn't it?
It's amazing.
I reckon I've done 8 or 9 now, and it's a great year for me, looking at the e-bike stuff, but we've got lots to chat about.
Well, yeah, we have. I think it's good. We've done a couple of shows of lots of the tech, but it's really good to then kind of try and think about all the trends that we've seen. And I think, for me, there's lots more products coming out. There's lots of innovation still happening. I think it's really exciting in terms of brands want to show prototypes. You know, lots of brands have now shown us sort of prototypes, and we've got them in tech shows, whereas previously lots of brands were a bit cagey. And I think it's quite nice that brands are being open and going, look, we're developing this. Might not come out, but we are developing it. It's not something from a catalogue.
Like the Fox Fork, that was on a lot of racers' bikes, 4 or 5 at least, I think, this weekend. Hearing good stuff. Obviously they're Fox Pros, they're going to say good stuff, but definitely on the grapevine, you know, pretty positive, I've got to say. I heard Ace of Met would like a triple clamp version for his downhill bike, which they don't have. Yet. Wow. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Right, trends. Okay, I think for me, I mean, there's a lot of trends. Unlike at Taipei, where there was lots of chat about 32-inch wheels, none of that chat here.
No, I heard a little, not much. I think most of it came from you, actually.
Right, fair enough.
We may see it being raced this year, but no one by any means confirmed it at all.
Yeah, which I think is quite good. I think a lot of people out there reading comments from previous shows, I think there's a lot of sort of, fear that, I've got this 29 or I've got this 650B, I've got this MX bike, it's going to be made obsolete by a new wheel size. And I don't think that's happening. That isn't the kind of noise on the street or in the booths.
Definitely feels like if it happens, it will be a sort of specialist thing, dare I say, and not mass adoption, but...
Yeah, agreed.
We'll see.
So one thing that I really, really liked, and I think it's something that actually lots of sort of viewers and people who like riding bikes can get behind, is single chassis but multi-bike platforms. That sounds very kind of product manager speak. So what I mean is we saw it from Salsa, we saw it from Ari, we saw it from Forbidden, just to name 3, but there was more out there. And essentially we're talking about a frame and suspension setup that is designed to work with a certain eye-to-eye and stroke length of shock, and then also it will work with another eye-to-eye and stroke length.
Identical front end, different size, same size shock, but shorter stroke.
Yeah.
I completely didn't pick up on this. I haven't seen the 2 Forbidden Druids.
Yeah.
That, yes, they are exactly the same frame.
Yeah.
I used to ride a V8.5 Santa Cruz back in the day.
Wasn't it V10?
Exactly. So I got Fox to make me... I actually think it was a slightly shorter eye.
Eye-to-eye?
I think.
Yeah.
But definitely short stroke. So it was a stroke, I should say. So it was 8.5 rather than 10 inches of travel, because I can deal with it. But I've heard a lot of pros have done that with their bikes. And I've never realised, that the actual production bikes are kind of doing it themselves and maybe calling them different models at the same time. Yeah,
and I think it's really nice in the fact that, so with Salsa, they've got a 125 bike, they've got a 145 bike. And it's the same model but different bikes. And with some bikes in the past, we've had it where you might need to buy a new shock and new link to make it different. But with quite a few bikes, it's effectively just a different shock, and that will have different stroke and different eye-to-eye, and that will change their travel. But the bike's been designed to accommodate that. The linkage has been sort of broad enough. And what I think is really nice about that is that it means that, you've got one bike that can do a lot, but then actually with a shock change, and I know it's not just a shock change because shocks are expensive. Yeah. But it's much, much cheaper than buying a whole new bike.
Yeah, true. Actually, Salsa showed me their e-bike, and that comes standard as a 165, 170 fork, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
And they said, you can go anything down to 160 up to 180 on the rear, so quite a lot of playroom there.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's that adaptability to allow trail riders to adapt their bike to where they ride. Yeah. And it gives them the ability of I'm going to go on holiday with it. I want more travel. And you don't have to buy a new bike. You can just change your shock. So I like that a lot. And one of the reasons why you're here is that it's still a trend, and I think it's really good, is EMTB.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go on for too long because I don't know how much the tech view is into it, but So I think some of the biggest news of the show was those new DJI motorbikes, so the Forbidden and the Uno. Like I said, I've been here, I think I obviously missed the COVID times, I reckon 8 or 9 times now, and I've seen the mountain bike sector grow in North America to the point where it's definitely a big off-road show. There isn't much road, there's a lot of gravel, there's a lot of mountain bike, but actually the mountain bike here is bigger all the time, and particularly, it's a big participation event as well, so you see lots of people riding around e-bikes. I think there's a bit of an issue, which I'm going to talk about on an EMBN video, with sort of regulation in the US with Class 2 and throttles. There's a lot more here than there are at home. But on the whole, very excited to see the new e-bikes and the sort of progression here.
Yeah, sure. I think it's exciting. I think it's not a deletion of regular mountain bikes. It's loads of brands are kind of like looking at them and realising that, like Revel with some of their bikes, it's like, okay, and they actively said, we don't like e-bikes at all, so that's why they've...
Really? I didn't realise that.
Yeah, they were like, we don't really like them. But then they tried it, in kind of mid-power, and they're like, oh, actually, we can see why that could work. So we've tried it, and then they like it, and it's this sort of like gateway into it. So I think the access is, that's a big thing, and the kind of like, the categories is a whole other thing, so...
Oh, and there's a video coming.
Excellent.
I see you've put in here drivetrains. I know we're talking about gearboxes. I actually went on the gate stand and took a look at the 4 frames, the Intense, the Zeroed, Atherton and Gamux.
Yes.
And really nice to look at up close. But that's not the only... We're not just talking about pinion gearboxes here. There are others.
Yeah, there are, So we saw...
what drivetrains, should I say?
Praxis with a... Well, it is a gearbox.
Yeah.
It's a prototype.
Did you take a look at it?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it, actually.
Okay, it was really fascinating in the fact that they'd kind of gone, okay, what works in transferring power and what's quite low drag chains. So theirs is like a dual chain setup, but the way they've got... these really clever flappy gear things effectively mean that the chain line is exactly the same all the way through. So you're not having to like shift, and that increases wear and all that stuff. Plus, it's sealed away,
and you can potentially have quite a strong chain if it doesn't need to sort of twist and flex.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very much proto, and I think that's comes back to that original point of prototypes, brands willing to show that they're doing their homework, they're doing some engineering, and it was quite fun. But then we also saw Lal bikes with they'd done a sort of drivetrain with Nikolai before, and now they've released their bike.
Funky looking, almost looks like a broken rear mech where it's tucked up.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but did you get to have a look at it close up?
Yeah, had a good look at it. Actually got to ride it.
Oh right, yeah.
And you can notice the difference. Effectively, what they've decided to do is take a rear mech and kind of split the component parts. So it means that the dangly bit that would be kind of down in the dirt, the cage, is actually now sort of behind or above the bottom bracket. So that means it can kind of move around the bottom bracket, and that coaxes all the chain tension. And then the bit that's at the back that might get whacked is now nice and small and tucked inside.
The shifter part.
The parallelogram bit. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no, it is the shifter part. That's much smaller and kind of hidden away. There's other advantages in terms of the clutch that they're using and where it's positioned, means that the sort of tension on it is effectively stable, whereas on a normal, whether it be T-type, Jazziness, a Shimano clutch one, or any others, that clutch load changes because the chain tension changes at certain points.
Got you, yeah.
Okay, it sounds really complicated, but I was really impressed.
Very good. It was good Very interesting, Owen.
Exactly. Okay, final thing for me was hardtails.
Yeah. I saw lots of gravel bikes. I didn't see that. I saw some steel, sort of cool, funky hardtails. But what did you see that was so cool?
There was lots of nice Thai hardtails, which is always fun. Bit spendy.
I love Thai hardtails.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's some stainless ones from Forbidden too. Yeah. Controversially, flat bar gravel there as well. Lots of people got real heated about flat bar gravel. Let's say it's a ultra short travel hardtail. Keep people happy. No, the one that I really liked was the Fairdale Elevator, because effectively, it's kind of a nice 29er hardtail.
Yeah.
But with a really short back end, really nice attention to detail, lovely paint job, and frame only is under $600 US.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's really good. Like 405, 406 chainstays, so super short. Yeah. It was great fun. Look, Brill, right, I think that is essentially all the trends. But I think the big take home for me, maybe it was the same on the kind of like e-bike side as well, is that the industry, whilst we've had, like literally last week, we've had a storm on certain geopolitical issues.
Don't start, Owen.
Yeah, we've had this storm, but I think the bike industry is more resilient than it's been, and there's a lot of positivity about getting more people onto bikes, whether that be through gravel bikes or through short travel hardtails, or just getting more people onto bikes and enjoying the good stuff.
Totally agree. And actually, I am joking. I didn't feel like there was that much tariff chat because people just don't really have an answer. So they're like, we'll cross that bridge when we have to. Here's the bikes, here's the prices we think it's going to be, and that's it.
Yeah. And with that, let's move to the news. News. Lots of news. Even though we've had loads of news at CR, we've still got more.
Youth range from Propane, which I'm very excited about because I have some youths at home.
Very good.
They've already got a massive range of bikes from the 14-inch wheel up to the 26 with 16, 20 in the middle and 24 actually.
Okay, yep.
And now they have a massive list, the Yuma V4 24-inch.
Yep.
130 front and rear, sort of trail enduro bike. And 26-inch wheel version of that as well, with slightly more travel, 140 front and rear. The list goes on, Owen.
Yeah. Those are both single pivots, I think, which is, I think, quite nice on that sort of.
It's nice to keep it fairly simple, especially, I'm looking at a 24-inch wheel bike at the moment, actually.
Oh, right, well, there we go.
Yeah.
Cool. And then there's, I had to double check these because the Tyre Youth is like, it's 650B, 275, 160 front and rear, and it's essentially like a slightly shrunk in the wash normal tyre. It's like the same. Yeah,
the great thing is they give you the sort of height ranges as well. So for that Yuma 24, it's from 133 centimetres up.
Oh, wow, okay.
The 26-inch version, 141, super useful this. So the Tyre Youth is from 149 up. And then getting bigger again, the Spindrift Youth, so big travel, 180 front and rear, proper free ride bike. Aluminium as well, really nice. And then the Trickshot 26-inch sort of dirt jump hardtail from 150 centimetres and up. So massive range of kids' bikes.
No, it is really huge actually. It's quite impressive. Pricing for the V4 starts at sort of €2,000 or pounds, then a little bit more in US dollars. Obviously that may be subject to change. Yuma V4 is 2,100 in euro and GB pounds. It probably will change in the US. The Tyre Youth is 2,699, but the spec is, well, essentially it's an adult's bike in a slightly smaller size.
Yeah.
And likewise with the Spindrift, the spec is like the adult's bike, but in a slightly smaller size. So that's 2,899 in euros and pounds. And the pricing might change in US dollars. The Trickshot comes in at, just over 1,000. So spendier, but they are really good bikes.
Exactly. And what I find with kids' bikes is if you buy reasonable ones, like I've got 3 kids, so they all get used, lots of use.
Yep.
But they just sort of keep their value really well, the proper kids' bikes. Okay, so you don't end up in a big hole at the end, hopefully. Okay,
very good. Speaking of not wanting to end up in a hole, Vittoria have got new gravel bikes. They've got new gravel tyres even. And I'm kind of, there's a lot of heat because gravel, I get picked on for liking gravel.
Yes.
And I think that's wrong because we all want mountain biking to grow, and the best way of getting more people to like mountain biking is to try off-road riding. And gravel is like this gateway drug to realising that, hang on, like the gravelly, dusty, rooty stuff is actually where the fun is. Like chasing around with cars, no, not fun.
Yeah, I get it. I do not take the mickey because I do have a gravel bike, and it's sort of my road bike now. I change the tyres in summer and winter. Road tyres in summer, obviously, and I just ride it wherever. I don't do that much gravel, I've got to say, but it's a bit of a bridle way, mostly road basher, so I'm on board with this. Okay, well, to help with that kind of like entry point, Vittoria have just sort of renamed and introduced a few new models into their range. Essentially, they've got like a band of sort of what gravel you're going to ride on, because I think that's always a conversation. It's like, well, what is gravel?
And they've got a kind of a scale that runs from 1 to 100, and essentially you're pretty much on a road bike if you're choosing the 0, and then it goes up to 100, obviously like 101 in proper mountain bike territory. There's also 2 new tyres, which do look really interesting, and actually we'll have them on the Tech Show in the future because I'm going to put them on my gravel bike. There we go, more gravel, exciting stuff. We'll move away from that before the comments go too wild. Right.
Crank Bros next. I see this news here. I went to the Crank Bros party the other night. Owen.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
was it fun?
That's my news. Yeah, it was good, actually. Very nice.
Oh, right. Oh, that was the news. Okay, there we go. Brill. I missed it. Sad times. But, yeah, they've got a new trail shoe. So the trail shoe came out before and it only was BOA. So this is their clip shoe with a bit more chunky tread on the toe and heel section. They've now got a speed lace version. So this is as it sort of says on the tin, it's very simple. It's a speed lace one, not as jazzy as a BOA. And yeah, they're pretty popular. I think the Josh John in the office is a big fan of them. So I think what's clever is all of the shoes, whether it be the flats, have got some innovation in terms of how the pedals and shoes interface. But with the clip shoes, I think it's really clever. They come with a Crank Brothers cleat installed, but they've been designed from the off to work with all the different types of pedals out there. So you don't have to be cutting away at bits of tread on the sole. The cleat position is actually in the right place, so it's not kind of on your toes like some shoes can be. And yeah, you've got it in a tan sole as well. I'm a big fan of the tan sole.
Cleats installed?
Cleats installed, yeah.
Out of the box?
Yep.
Never seen that.
There you go, Crank Brothers shoes. They're on it, yeah. Pricing in US dollars, again, that might change, $180, and in euros, it's 180 euros. There you go. Question time. This one's great.
Last week's question, as we're at HQ, how many successive years has the Mallet downhill pedal won both the men's and women's downhill world championships? Both.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. Consecutively, I think we're on 10. Actual wins of world champs, it's probably 14. They've won a lot of world champs. Actually, only 2 winners. So Tim, well done, and Sandman. I think a lot of people got a bit heated on the old tariff chat. So
Tim says, hardest question yet.
Yes!
And Tim gets all these right, surely.
Yeah, he does, yeah. It's very good. Do you want to do the question?
This week's question... who invented the first dropper post? You told me this earlier.
Yeah, I know, it's great. Mainly because someone in the chat was sort of having a bit of a chip at me of like, oh, you got that wrong about the reverb. And I was a bit like, OK, let's find out who did the first dropper post. Answers in the comments below, please. Right, comments. This is my favourite bit of the show.
Is it?
Yeah, I love reading the comments.
Do you read all of them?
I do, yeah. It's not a wig, OK?
This is from last week. We talked about the international market changes. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Very good.
JP Fidalgo says, I just want to say that I like the rationality and thoughtfulness from the Crank Brothers CEO, Gas.
Yeah, thank you.
And Owen, during their talk, the subject can bring high intensity to people's feelings. You know what? I didn't see that this week. I thought in May it was all fairly... Everyone I spoke to was fairly adult about it. It's nice to see one way of talking about this in a constructive way, so thank you.
Yeah. Peak 1217. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty, we can be grateful that we can still ride our bikes in beautiful places. So love to all the mountain bike riders. Exactly. All of us together, we are mountain bike riders, and that's the thing that unites us and we've got to stick to. OK.
Marcel H says, Arc 8 used the same linear floating point for the rear damper as the Avona. None of that makes any sense to me.
It makes perfect sense. So we had an Avona, which is like a German brand. They've got the super duperest light new frame, and it had got this sliding rail setup, and I knew I'd seen it somewhere, but my brain was all jet lagged. So Arc 8, thank you very much.
What's the Arc 8?
It is, they've done a couple of bikes, and they've effectively got a main pivot, flex stays, and then opposed to having like a swing link, it's got slide rails.
Like the old Yeti downhill bike?
Yeah, but sort of carbon fibre-y and space age. But essentially, yeah, same. Van Bond Moto. Instead of 32-inch tyres, let's get rid of rear derailleurs and cassettes for good.
I've heard that forever.
I know. They're quite good, though, cassettes.
And then, I don't get this one either. Shane Weldon says, Carl and Frank equals crank. Oh, I understand.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. OK, that is the comments. If you've got any thoughts about this show or any of the shows that we've done, because we've done quite a few from Sea Otter, dive into the comments. It's always really good. And we're looking forward to more this week. So we've got an Ask GMBN special, hashtag Ask GMBN Tech, with Park Tools demigod, Calvin Jones, which is really good. Looking forward to that.
Don't forget to head over to EMBN for the tech over there. And actually, there's a new Santa Cruz Bullet out this week as well. Big 170mm travel e-bike if you're into that.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Right, I think that wraps it up. Cheers.